Good day, everybody. Today we are looking at the GMade MT1904 tire. GMade being a Korean company, we don't see a whole lot of their stuff here in the US. But they actually have a couple set of really good tires, the MT1905 being one of them. But today we look at the 1904. Dealing with some wind today, hopefully not too terribly bad. I don't really want to use the lapel mic, so we're going to try to avoid it. Inside of the 1904s, we have Three Brothers 3D printed inserts today. I'm sorry, they are SL3D 3D printed inserts today. And so far on the side hill, 1904 is doing well, not too much side slide, just a little bit right there as that driver rear tire goes into a divot in the rock. And now we're going to start turning up and trying to reposition. What we want to see optimally is I turn the front end, we want the rear end to slide just a little bit to help it pivot up that rock. I don't think GMade has a name for the compound on their tires other than soft. There's the pivot. Yeah, that's good reposition on a side hill. Especially from I believe these are $20 a set. So $20 for a set, $40 or $20 a pair, I mean. So $40 for a set of 4. That's pretty good these days. Somebody's out here smoking. I can smell it. They're smoking cigars. Let's see if we can reposition again and come down in reverse, so that we can exit the obstacle going the right direction. 1904 is really doing well on the side hill. They're holding in the right places and they're sliding in the right places. Now a lot of that is going to be attributed to the 3D insert in these tires, but a bad tire, doesn't matter what insert is in it, it's going to slide too much on a side hill like this. This is about a 40-degree angle average. There's some areas of the rock where it's steeper, there's some where it's a little bit shallower, but averages out to about 40 degrees. And we exit on off the obstacle and head to our second obstacle, which is wet or dry. Wet or dry is aptly named because we don't know if it's going to be wet or dry until we get out here. But today it is wet. So we approach the obstacle through the water. Now, with the wind being died down a lot today, the rock itself has not had waves crashing against it. So the only wet we're dealing with is the actual tires. The rock face is pretty dry. And what we want to see here optimally is the tire be able to slowly just crawl forward without applying wheel speed. Just like that. Now we're hooked on, get hooked on the front links there on that lip a little bit. That's not really anything with the tire. 1904 is doing a pretty good job there. Didn't have to apply additional wheel speed to get up. However, there are 2 entrances to this obstacle, and that was the easier one. Shallower, easier entrance. Now we go to a steeper entrance. Again, through the water. And our steep entrance is actually underwater. Well, not under, not submerged, but right here. Ooh, I thought it was getting it. There we go. The 1904 able to do this without having to apply wheel speed. There are a decent amount of tires who cannot do that when it's dry without applying wheel speed, including the daily driver of Tire Rack, which is the Duratrax Fossil. Very good. And I generally like to do this obstacle 3 times. I like to do the easy entrance twice and the difficult entrance once. I don't really know why. I just do. Sometimes I don't have good reasons for things other than, it's just the way I do it. But again, the 1904, other than getting hung up right there on that, slid back a little too much. Can we recover? Yeah. Other than getting the front links hung up on the lip of that rock, it's not really got anything to do with the tire. We did that with no drama. So as we transition to our next obstacle, this is one that I actually like to film because although this is just a transition, it is not an obstacle. There are some interesting lines that have to be taken here that can put some tires through a test. Most tires don't struggle with this, but if we see a tire struggle with this, we know that we're going to have significant problems coming up. That wind's starting to come up more. Sorry about the wind noise that you guys are probably going to be hearing. Might have to clip the lapel mic on for the next video. I don't really like the lapel mic because it does a good job of blocking the wind noise, but it blocks a lot of background noise, and you don't really hear much of the rig, and it just kind of, to me, it's weird. My voice sounds different in it. It sounds like I'm in an echoing room or something, which all is probably due to the fact that I bought a cheap lapel mic off Amazon. But you know, it serves a purpose when I need it to. I really bought it to block out wind noise when it's windy. And yesterday, I did about 6 or 7 videos, and it was very windy yesterday. So what we're trying to do here is we need the rear tire to be able to hook the lip of that rock and push it up and over, because all the weight is on the rear. The front are barely scraping the ground, especially with these, about 4.6 inches high on these tires. And there's not anything good to push on the ground, and you can see this rock is about 3/4 of the height of a tire. It doesn't look like the 1904s are going to be able to do this slowly, so we do a bump, a little bit of bounce, likely coming from those 3D inserts. And, bounced on and then we fell off. There we go. And of course, as always with this obstacle, we exit on a side hill. Now this part here is just another transition to the next set of obstacles. But again, it's one I like to film because it's got a few difficult things. Not difficult, but it's got a few interesting lines in it. One being right here, where if you don't have a tire that has good positionability, or let's just say if you don't have a tire that can steer well, you can struggle right there. 1904 is not having any problems though. And we come up to the last part of our transition, where we are kind of testing the ability of the front tires to hold while exiting on a side hill, because what I need to do is cut over and not slide down, because if I slide down, the rig will hit that rock right there, which I don't want. 1904s, not having any issues there either. Again, it's just a transition to the next obstacle, because most tires don't have issues with that. That's another thing, that if a tire does have issues, it can be signs, or it can be, signs of problems to come. Wind is starting to pick up more. I may have to pause here and hook up the lapel mic. This is the last part of our transition. This is still not an obstacle, but it does test our forward drive and capability of pulling up on a ledge. There comes the wind. All right, we're gonna pause and hook up the lapel mic. You know what? I'm just gonna try to do this video. I'll stay closer to the phone. Hopefully there's not gonna be too much wind noise. The wind is not consistent yet. It's just starting to gust a little bit. So we're a little more than halfway through the course right now. Actually, we're about halfway through right now. So hopefully we don't have too many issues. I don't know if I don't know if will have to stop the video to hook up the lapel, and I'm still trying to figure out how to cut videos together and stuff. So I don't want to do that if I don't have to. I can do it, it's just fewer I have to do it on, the better. So this one is an obstacle. This was our next obstacle. No issues getting up on there. What that is testing is a lot of forward drive, because the edge of that rock is very smooth, although it is not as steep as we saw earlier. So you need a tire that has good forward drive and decent positionability to be able to get up that. And the 1904 does it with no issues. Okay, and now we test descent control. What we need to happen here is for the rear tire to grip enough to not just fall off the rocks, but slip enough to set the front end down easily right here. And it's a little more slip than optimal, but not enough to cause problems. And then as we transition off the rock, we nosedive. That portion's normal. We call that the grave digger. If you're a fan of monster trucks or Monster Jam, you'll know what that reference is and what that reference means. And the second half of this obstacle, again, descent control. We are testing kind of sidewall pushed up against that rock on the driver's side of the truck to control the descent of the vehicle. Tires that struggle there, what you'll see is we will kind of come down on the front tires, nose down. And now we arrive at the most difficult obstacle on the course. Hard to drive, difficult for many tires to complete. The goal here is to test side lug, and we are wanting to hook the side lug on this edge of the tire and walk it up. But this rock is extremely steep, especially where you pull onto it. I put an angle gauge on it, and it ranges between about 55 and 70 degrees. And the entrance to it is 64 degrees, so pretty steep. It's also pocketed, and the rock is fairly slick, even though it is sandstone. It's pretty worn, I'm guessing, because of the angle it sits on. A lot of water runs down it. It's pretty worn. So what we need to happen is we need to pull up onto the rock. We need to shuttle over to the right and hook that side lug on that edge of the rock. Now, some tires, the Select Elites, are able to do this all in one nice motion. A lot of tires require just wheel speed, which is what the 1904s appear to need. Not a lot, nothing obnoxious. Pretty easy, really. The 1904 not lacking in side lug, but I'm getting that tire a little too far over there and dragging the axle. I need to slow down. There we go. It is worth noting, when we fell off the edge there, we were able to recover without sliding back down the rock. Man, whatever somebody's smoking stinks. Need to go up there and see if somebody new moved in. There's only one other person out here camping as of earlier this morning. And no issues getting off the obstacle. And our next obstacle here, mostly what we're testing, is forward drive and side lug. The driver's side of this truck cannot fall off this obstacle, or it will not get back up on a class 2 size tire. So we have the passenger side shoved into that rock over there, and we're using the side lug to give us the forward drive we need to move over. Side lug of the driver, or of the passenger front, and just the regular lug of the driver rear is what we're using. Now we drag diff over this rock here, so we're relying on the front tires that are no longer able to use the side lug. We're relying on those to pull us over, because neither rear tire has a rock to touch and the diff is hung, and the 1904 is doing that drama free. Nearing the end of our course now, and we have arrived at my favorite obstacle. I need to write down what the angles are. We did this on video a couple videos ago. I think this is somewhere around 55 degree average. 1904 up here easily. Again, we are on sandstone, relatively high grip, But tires that lack forward drive are not able to do this easily. Tires that lack a good compound and lug design are often struggling to like sit here and hold. But the 1904 not having any issues. Sorry for that, guys. There's something going on. Somebody's burning something. There's smoke in the air. I'm going to finish this test up, and I'm going to go see if there's an out-of-control fire. Make sure there's not. All right, we need wheel speed to get off this obstacle. No issues there. And we will traverse off the obstacle directly into a ravine. And that leads us to my least favorite part of it. Sorry, didn't mean to press pause there. That leads us to our least favorite part of the course, or to my least favorite part of the course, the trails. And if you haven't seen a video before, the reason that this is my least favorite part is simply because I have to walk, drive, hold the camera, record. I have a lot to do. But coming up here, and this is not just a transition, this is part of the obstacle. The obstacle goes from here all the way up to those rocks up there. And here, what always happens is we get our front links hung on the edge of this rock that has a pretty steep drop off. Can I rock it off? We need to. Set the camera down. Here we go. Okay, and then we're going to drag the bumper. Drag that off. There we go. And on to our final part of this obstacle. And again, the 1904 not having issues here. A surprising amount of tires have issues getting onto this obstacle. This corner down here, where's my finger? This corner down here can be difficult for a lot of tires, it seems to be. A lot more tires struggle with that than I would think. Let's just put it that way. It's not necessarily hard. It is just a trail test. But there's few tires that have some significant problems there. And now our final obstacle, the hill climb. 40% throttle is what we're after, 40% or under. If we have to go to 100%, that's not great. The 1904 not having any issue. I'm probably at 20% throttle right now. But the hill climb on with loose gravel and loose dirt, not having any issues at all. So, 1904, completing my course without any significant problems. Very impressive performance on the wet. Probably the best tire that I've tested wet. Unfortunately, every tire video I've done has not been able to test wet because, as we explained, with wet or dry, it depends on the level of the lake. But 4 tires that I've tested on camera and wet, the 1904 is the best performing one yet. So, concluding the Dr. Seuss portion of this video, what do we think of the MT1904? Well, judging by the lug design, I think this is considered more of a trail tire than a rock crawling tire, but it did really well overall. There was not a single part of my course that this tire struggled with, and being that I believe these are $19 a set, or a pair, I keep saying set, let's just call it $40 a set. They are very good. The foams they come with are medium open cell foams. I do recommend replacing those with something dual stage, but that's kind of the standard with any tire. So the 1904s, I think these are going to come in probably around a 4.4 or 4.5, maybe a 4.6 average score. I'll have to sit down and do the math there, watch the video back and figure out what the scores are, but really, really good showing, really impressed. And the 1904 is technically an RTR tire. This comes on a few of GMade's rigs, just their RTRs. So for an RTR tire, that's really, really good. All right, everyone. Until next time, have a good day.